Welcome back to another episode of Ways. My name is Mohammed. I'm here with Osama. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm good, bro. How are you? I'm blessed. I'm always blessed. It's raining outside, but we can still be positive. Today's gonna be a positive episode, guys. We have a special guest. She was our first guest a year ago. Her name was Aseel. She's back. We got her back this time. Been a long time, but Aseel, welcome back.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm
The
excited
funny
too.
thing is, you are, the very first guest on Ways. We had no idea what to expect. Obviously, the goal was to have like an amazing episode, and the goal was to have an amazing episode and just kind of figure it out. And hopefully, you just have a good conversation so we could feel good about having future guests. But I think about your episode and how amazing it was and awesome and just shocking it was to both of us because not only was it a good conversation, but you like literally surpassed our expectations and pretty much set the standard for what a guest should be as far as the content, information, insight, and just overall conversation as far as the value. So thank you so much for what you did for us as far as coming on over a year ago.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Honestly, wow, that touched my heart. It was, I think, like, we just, the same, like, we didn't know what to expect, just kind of came and talked. You guys had awesome questions. I'm sure it's going to be the same again this time. So thank you for the opportunity, really.
Hopefully. Before we get started, how about you shout out? How about you shout out your accounts?
Yeah, absolutely. So if people are interested in spirituality and life coaching, I have a YouTube page called Heal with Aseel. My name's spelled Aseel. And then my Instagram is Heal with Aseel as well. Or you can follow my personal, Aseel Anabtawi 44. And yeah, that should be it.
By the way, guys, I was talking to Aseel the other day, like planning this podcast. So, she recently posted that she has a podcast. So go check her podcast out and
Yeah.
go support her. Go show her
What's the
love.
name of your podcast?
It's also Heal with Aseel. So that's going to be like, that's the whole brand. Wherever you want to find me, just type that in, Heal with Aseel. And yeah, it's on YouTube now. I'm still working and getting it down on the Anchor app and public with like through podcasting, but right now you can find it on YouTube.
Let's get it.
I know for a fact everyone's gonna love it once it's fully out. I guess before we start the episode, one question I definitely want to ask you is, since you were our first guest and we interviewed you during, I believe, I don't know if it's the first or second lockdown, but either way, we were inside. Since being outside, and obviously your goal is teaching, coaching, and just giving others value as to what they can do to make themselves better. Now that we're technically outside, but there is, I guess, a sense of fear that there might be another lockdown this winter. What would you advise people who are kind of skeptical, kind of worried that there might be another lockdown and they don't want to lose their sense of freedom outside?
Yeah. That's a tough one. I think with lockdowns and with everything, you just got to make your own happiness on the inside because like sometimes you literally just can't leave the house or you can't do stuff. And so establish your own routine that uplifts you that you can do at home, right? Like maybe the gym's going to close or something. Workouts, like getting up early, gratitude practice in the morning, like things that are really going to make you feel full, right? That are really going to uplift your spirit so that even if maybe you don't have as much freedom certain months or whatnot, and there's a lot of fear and panic going around on the news and all around you, you're still going to feel like uplifted and have that strength to carry other people forward, because it's like we all feed off each other's energies. And so it's really easy for you to get also dragged down by others if everyone around you is scared. So have your own practice, your own routine, your own things that uplift you, and then go out into the world.
I actually like how you said that. How we like how we work off each other's energies because I kind of see that. For example, like how my friend, I'm not gonna call him out, but sometimes when I'm with this guy and he sets a my mood, it changes my mood immediately. Like I'll be like hyped up, I'll be out and about, and I'm like, bro, why are you so upset? Why are you so sad? Like, cheer up, man. And then I try to, cause I'm like, when I'm around the crowd, like I think I told you, like I'm not always the most talkative person, but I feel like if someone's upset, I want to cheer them up. I just like doing that, cause I'm like, I don't want you to ruin my mood. Even if I'm quiet, I'm still vibing. So like, I don't need you to ruin my mood.
Absolutely, yeah. No, that's so true. I think we all have people like in our lives like that, and it's like I think they're still kind of, needing to go through their own probably lessons or something, because people need to understand it's like nothing around you can lift you up, or if it can, it's just temporary. If it's on the outside, like it really has to come from your own heart and your own spirit, and then it's just like it just rubs off on others, and that way you can help others too.
Well, let me ask you a
So yeah.
question. So, what, like, obviously, you said you're a coach, and how do you, like, how do you partake in that? Like, when you're talking to your clients, and then if they do bring up those situations where the energy is low, like, what steps do you do and say, so I'm gonna help you out to transition that? Like, what do you actually do to help them out?
Yeah. Yeah, this is like basically every day in the job. Like it's like, you need to have that high sort of vibe, because people are coming in for coaching. They're coming in for, being probably in not the best place in their lives. So their moods also kind of reflect that. So the best thing is for me to bring that energy, right? Because like I said, you're gonna feed off of it. So if I don't bring it and I'm not strong in it, then I'm gonna go down too. And that's not good for any of us. So I really stick with it. And then first of all, I like to lead them through a meditation. I feel like people, like when people say meditation, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. But when they actually meditate, like I just feel they just need that permission to relax and to release. And I just feel it like slowly increase their vibe. And then depending on the person, some people I take them into like the future version of themselves who's accomplished everything that they've wanted to. And I really like let them, meet that person again in the meditation. Like meet them, feel their energy. How do you feel in that moment? How can we bring that into you now, right? Like for people who maybe are feeling really lost and like, I don't know what to do is the next step kind of thing. That really brings them back. For others, it's like connect to your body. Like we'll do a lot of like chakra healing. So I don't know if the listeners know, but like chakras are energy centers in the body. They carry our energies, and they're really powerful. And people with low moods, or when we are in a low mood, it just kind of means that our energy isn't flowing as freely in the body. And so one of the best ways to kind of get that to happen is to like again in the meditation just really connect, and I'll guide them through like, okay, now you're opening this chakra, and you're feeling this kind of release. And um just again, it really depends on the person, but getting them to connect to their bodies just does wonders. um what else? I'm trying to think. There, like visualization, gratitude. It was just important to set the stage high in the beginning, and then we can actually get into the coaching, because it's like if they're in a bad place, no amount of coaching is gonna lift them up per se, right? It's like they need to be high vibe, and then they're in touch with that, the spirit, the heart, the what do I want, what's possible for me, and going forward with that.
That's amazing, beautiful, and yeah, just like you said, setting the highest of stages so the person can feel welcome and all knowing what to expect, so obviously they can jump into their future selves. And I love how you define different aspects as to what you do that gives them an overall succession as far as what they want to be, as far as the journey. The question I have for both of you and Osama, now you are a coach and you know the end game, you know the results, you know what will happen to you if they take the steps necessary to become who they want to become through the coaching techniques that you've manifested and mastered over a period of time. Osama, same thing for you. Obviously, a lot of people see you as a motivating coach in the future, obviously, even if you are now actually behind the scenes. And people know you that you are encouraging as far as your advice, steps, and practical methods to be the best as far as themselves. The
Uh-huh.
question I have for both of you is, knowing what the end game is to be the best version of yourself, why do you think this is only for a certain type of people? Why do you think people are so close minded, pessimistic, skeptical in their feelings? They just do not want to give themselves up to, let's say, methods that you might provide, Osama, or just spirituality techniques that you might encourage them in your sessions, Asil. So, why do you think people are so pessimistic, close minded, and just turned off from the world, never want to engage, or never want to open up their hearts, their values, and beliefs just to become the better version of themselves?
Tough question. Cecile, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah, that's really a great question. I think honestly, like just coming from the spiritual perspective, I just feel like it's a lot of healing needed. Like it's not that I think people want to be that way, closed off, and they feel like shit, like to be honest, they're not feeling their best. I think it's just a lot of healing. Like there's just a lot of blocks, especially mindset blocks, which we work with a lot too, because it's one of the most important things. It's like, you're coming to the world, you're a kid, you're like so excited, you have all these dreams, you do whatever you want, like, and then slowly you start learning the rules of society, and you start learning about what you can't do and what you need to do and like what's the right thing. And a lot of the times it's not what you actually want to do, right? It's like go to school, sit there for 8 hours, be like a robot basically. Like that literally, crushes a kid's spirit. And it's like I think over the years you just kind of have to narrow yourself down in your mind so much that it creates these blocks where you stop thinking what's possible for you. You stop thinking that you can go out and like not have to be in school or get like a real job, quote unquote, or you kind of shut down your dreams, and then that just kind of reflects itself in other areas of life too, and it just all leads to blockages, and obviously like that's going to make a person feel down and just disconnected from their own heart. I hope that makes sense.
That's an amazing answer. I'm not sure if I'm gonna top that, but just to add on to what Aseel's saying, because she kind of sparked some ideas. I kind of look at me myself personally. Again, as you said, I'm kind of different from other people. I guess we're all kind of different from other people because we think differently. So for me, I look at the brain as like a computer, right? And a lot of the times you have to reprogram your brain to start thinking a different way. And the reason why sometimes when you're giving this advice to certain people, they're not able to see it is because they've been told by some source that they're not able to achieve a certain thing because of limited skills or limited talent or limited resources, right? And mind you, one quote that's always stuck with me is like, don't tell people what you want to do in life because they can't see your futures. For example, for me to go to Aseel or you, Mo, and say, hey, I'm going to do this. Well, you're not going to see it because I'm probably talking nonsense, but there's a reason why you can't see my vision because my vision is only for me. I think a lot of the times when you have a vision, you should stick to it and not tell certain people because people are good at like for example, I'm not like there's not people like maybe like us, we're gonna be uplifting like yeah man, go get it, go get it, go get it. But I believe just to answer your question, I guess in a full circle, is if I don't like giving advice to people who first of all I do a lot of I'm kind of prejudiced now. I read I'm like if I sense you're always being negative and pessimistic and like no matter what I say you're like ooh, you're not gonna do it. Like I had one time me and Mo were talking to one of our friends. He was like, let's be honest guys, you guys aren't gonna amount to anything. You're just gonna work average jobs. You're not gonna do what you want to do. Did I get mad? I'm like, no, but I knew where he was coming from because his programming is bad. He believes that if you because we're normal people that we end up normal lives, but the people who end up the people who achieve those successes that we think about were also normal people, but they found a formula that worked for them. I think similar in math, there's a formula to get the answer. Similar in life, there's a formula to get the answer, and I believe you just gotta find that formula that works for you.
Beautiful. I love how you said that. Is a formula. Exactly, exactly. And that's the thing. That's what people I think don't understand. It's like that conditioning, that closing off makes you believe that you only have this one path in life and that's the only thing that's possible for you. But it's like, we live in the age of the internet. Like everything is possible. Like people like you don't need to be Oprah to have your own show. Like you have the internet, you have all these different mediums, whether it's podcasting or like YouTube channels or Instagram, that people like normal people are becoming everything they want to be, and that's not because of anything other than they just opened up their mindset. They really allowed themselves to believe that it's possible. Obviously, they put in the work, and it's like you could, it's that closed offness. I just think it just requires some healing and mindset shifts for sure.
Agreed. And I honestly think that whoever's listening, you have to have friends like Asil, like Muhammad, like myself. I'll put myself in there because people, when you have
Hmm.
friends like those who are uplifting you, who are positive, who obviously, by the way, we all go through stuff on a regular basis. We're gonna talk about the negatives at the moment, but if I guess I'm just gonna use the three of us as an example because we've spoken before we got to know each other to a certain point. We're not ones to allow negatives to like block us and we're gonna sit down on a couch and not do something because life has to go on. That's what people don't understand. Like life has to go on. Like you don't know when you're gonna like leave this world. So if you live for another 80 years and you're gonna keep complaining about that one negative thing that happened to you, and you know what struck me by the way? This like changed my world. Apparently, like there's a quote that said, "Imagine you die 80 years from now, right? You did nothing with your life, and then God shows you what you could have achieved had you put your mind to the test and had you actually went through trials and tribulation? You weren't scared. You weren't scared to fail. How bad would you feel, right? So why do you want to wait to see what you could have achieved when you can actually test it now and say, you know what, I know I have the credibility, I know I have the ability to do this kind of stuff, and let me do it. And you know, if it fails, you could try something else. That's the beauty. That's the beauty about life is you could try other stuff while you're doing it. You can work on three, four things at one time, and then one of those four things is gonna take off. If the last three don't, if the other three don't, just stick with that one thing and continue. I think a lot of people feel that they have to live up to a certain standard. Certain people, like I never see myself competing with my peers. I do see myself getting competitive because I'm like, wow, he's doing this. I need to be on his level. Like they push me. That's a competitive
Yeah.
spirit. But I've never competed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like about trying to, get one up over the other in terms of
Exactly.
just so they can see me in a certain way. It's more like, well, what lifts you up? Because that's what's gonna take you furthest in terms of success. It's like if you're just doing the thing just to kind of look a certain way, and we all kind of go through this, I think, in certain phases. To look a certain way or to have people say certain things about you, it's like, okay, that's gonna only take you so far. But like, what about your own happiness? And eventually, you're gonna find
Exactly.
that's empty if it's just about others, right? That's why I always kind of bring it back to the individual and like have your own practice, have your own like I love journaling and it's so much more powerful I think than people understand because it literally connects
100%.
you to your truth, like your what you actually want. People are like, I'm lost. I don't know what I want in life. There's so much options or there's. And it's like, well, that's because you spend all this time, on Instagram or going out, but you don't spend enough time understanding your own self. And that's where journaling comes in, right? Or like meditation. You find your own truth, your own purpose, your own things that inspire you, and with that it can just take you so much further. And then I just wanted to make a point about what you said earlier in terms of like people just being scared or whatnot. It's okay to be scared, like it's
Yeah,
okay,
one
like we
hundred
have to
percent.
understand we're not, even us who are we're talking and we're like this high vibe conversation, like it's not like we're always like this, like we, I can speak for myself, get terrified at times, right? And there's like many moments in life like that. So it's not, I don't want people to think that they have to just be like fearless and like I can't even think of fear. It's like it's going to come up, right? That's actually
Yeah.
what is part of the journey. If you're living a life where nothing's scaring you, then you're probably not that excited. You're probably just living like something boring and you're not doing much, right? You need that fear. That's like what kind of, you can turn that into excitement and like make that push you further, right? So use that in that kind of way.
I actually love how you said that, by the way, because yeah, I'm glad you clarified with the whole being scared thing because I feel when you're scared is when you're the strongest. Ironically enough, is because it's like you're taking a chance at something that a lot of people would not have done, and you're going for it. And by the way, fear could do two things. It can either stop you or it can either push you. It just, I
Mm,
guess, it's your way of healing. It's your way of understanding that concept. And for example, like I'm not like I think a lot of people misunderstand when they look at a strong individual. Let's use for example The Rock. And I was just watching an interview by him recently, and they asked him, "Are you scared?" And he's like, I'm always scared." And like when you think of someone that caliber, that all star, right? You're like, how can he be scared? Like how can he be scared? But of course, there's things that he at his caliber, he's like, I can still fail. I can still do this. I think everybody has those fears inside of them that keep them up at night, but those same fears that keep them up at night kind of push them to like, I'm not gonna allow it to like affect me or whatever it may be. And
yeah.
I think that's and one thing I want to say. I remember I was on Clubhouse and they were talking about a room. On a side note, uh, it's always good to talk to someone to help you out. Doesn't make you less of a woman or less of a man to talk to someone because sometimes people are more experienced and they can help you out and they can give you advice. I think it's important to go share if you feel vulnerable. It's important to go share because some people have more experience than you in life and they're able to tell you how you can assess a certain situation.
Absolutely, absolutely. Having a good community is everything. Because if you're surrounded, first of all, if you're completely alone, then that could kind of bring you down. If you're surrounded with people who are not like the most uplifting, that could also bring you down. So community is essential in the self-growth journey. Like you need a good, positive community because you're not always going to be strong, and that's just part of life. I love what you said about The Rock because it's like you know, I haven't thought of it that way, but of course he's always scared. Like think of the level this guy plays at, like millions of viewers, all
Yeah,
these people. He does things live, like he's just a human. So imagine, like, he's just like us. It does take some fear, some going way past your comfort zone in order to do that. And of course you get used to it, but I think there's always a part of you that's you're like, what am I like? This is my life, you know. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
beautiful that you go grand, but there's always going to be that human part of you that people forget that we were all just the same, and it's like it's you know, no one's better. It's just about how well do you work with your mindset, with your fears, with your blocks. And this is where coaching comes in, because people are like, I want to achieve this, I want to, like, that's not possible for me, or like that, you know. And it does, they don't understand, but it always does come back to the mindset of things like, how could I ever achieve that, or like, you know, fears or insecurities or whatever. And it's like, yes, this is the coaching, this is what we work through. What are your fears? What are the things that hold you back? Like, what are your obstacles? Because, you
Yeah.
know, people like The Rock, like, he has at least 4 coaches on his hand, you know. It's like, we're all humans and we all have the same things that hold us back, but it's, do you work with it, do you invest in yourself, or do you just stay stuck, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have another question. So
Damn, more
obviously,
deep
like,
questions. I like it.
yeah. So there's beautiful methods, obviously, to what you do, and it's very successful for those who want to learn how to better themselves. Once again, now, obviously, coaches, they are who they are, and they know who they are, and they do certain things to make sure they are uh, confident, strong, and prepared for what's about to come as far as tomorrow. But at the same time, we
Uh
are
huh.
humans. We have emotions. Things might fluctuate up and down, and we can never be perfect or just up to that standard that we hold ourselves to, and especially those who look up to us 100% of the time. Now, when something happens to you, how do you heal? Do you go to someone first? Like, if something bad happens to you that you know yourself that you can't heal yourself in the way that you know you're supposed to, do you go to someone first, or do you do different practical techniques that you teach as far as journaling, meditation, the chakra systems? Like, what do you do in such a situation? How do you heal yourself?
Yeah. Really good question. I think I want to take it back a little bit with this, because before I was, you know, like, coaching or talking about any of this self-development stuff. In fact, the reason I'm so passionate about it is because I spent years and years and years literally stuck in my own fear and stuck in my own, you know, need to heal, which I didn't see it like that back then. But, you know, holding myself back and like having all these dreams that I was like, there's just no way for me, right? Like, who am I, you know? And so the journey is about finding the tools and stuff that works for you. So specifically, for me is, I think I'm more of like an independent person when it comes to this. I don't I kind of deal with it on my own in the beginning, because you know, it's just how I like to do things. So I'll sit with a journal. I'll write out what's going on if I can get myself to that point. Sometimes if it's really a strong thing, it's like you just got to let yourself feel it, right? So I'll just sit in the moment, and these are newer techniques. Back then I didn't do this. In the beginning I started out with coaches, right? But now that I'm kind of more grounded, I'll sit with it and I'll just be like, okay, like, whatever it is, feel it. A lot of the times we don't let ourselves feel it. If it's fear, if it's sadness, if it's depression, if it's you know, any kind of emotion, we like judge ourselves. Like, don't feel that. No, it's an emotion that needs to be expressed. And this is why I love working with the chakra systems, because they taught me that. It's like, don't stop the emotion thinking that's how you're strong. That's unfortunately how it gets stuck in your body, right? Like, that's because emotion is energy. It needs to flow. It's literally like energy in motion, right? Like emotion. It needs to flow. And so instead of you know, stopping it and thinking that's how you're going to be strong, it's like, how can I let myself feel this to the point where it doesn't even want to be felt anymore? Like, it's just, its job is done, you know? And so this is where I sit with clients and we'll work through the chakras. Okay, what are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? Let it happen. Why is it there? And they'll, you know, they'll be in like a deep meditation at that point, but it's like they can ask that question, and a lot of the times they'll hear an answer like, oh, I'm here because, you know, you didn't say this, or because you wanted to do that, but you held yourself back, and now I'm like here. And it's about, okay, how do you release that now? Feel it, right? And then you know, whether it's like journaling or just saying it out loud, let out whatever it needs to be let out through that emotion. I love movement. This is like one of the biggest things in healing. It's not just about the mind. It's like, okay, the body needs to now move through it, you know? So we'll get up, we'll do like a dance practice, especially for women. So most of my clients are women, and it's like, dance is such a sacred part of our being, really. And unfortunately, in many cultures, it's like kind of looked down upon. So women kind of close that down early, and what I love to do is get them back in their bodies through dance. You shake it out, you let the things come out of you. You feel so empowered through that. And like, you know, your abs, your hips, everything is just kind of engaged, right? And yeah, so we just kind of work through it whatever way, but the most important thing is like allow yourself to acknowledge it and feel it. And then from there it's like you just feel so free, like, and if we're talking energetically, it's in your energy field. Some people have it in their field for years, some people for like 10 years or whatever. They've been holding themselves back from these emotions. um, you literally feel it leave their energy field and they're like, I feel so much lighter. Like I feel like a weight's been lifted off of me. Some people literally lose weight because it's been dragging them down for so long that subconsciously they were like eating their emotions in a way, or like literally gaining weight from it, you know? And they will literally, once it's fully out of their field, they'll lose that weight because it's just energy that you're not allowing yourself to pass through your body and like leave, you know? So there's so many different things, but the overall thing is about getting back to your strongest self by letting go of the bad energies.
That's a beautiful answer. Well illustrated, well defined, and like you said, like through that, you definitely are able to attain what you want to attain, and it's a beautiful technique. And like everyone's different as far as what they do, but the fact that you're able to show us how it works for you and how it gives you that sense of clarity and understanding and just overall guidance, right? Because you never know what's gonna happen as far as tomorrow, but at least knowing what you could do today is more essential than ever. And that's why it's such a beautiful topic and such a beautiful answer that you gave once again. And I actually want to ask you is, obviously with your sessions as far as training people, what do you expect from your podcast? Is it going to be kind of the same? Obviously it's different. A podcast is different from an actual coaching session, but do you plan on to give some coaching elements to the podcast, or is this going to be a different side of who you are as far as things you want to talk about that you usually can't talk about in a coaching session?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think the podcast started originally as just a place for me to share everything that I've been learning. I Since like maybe a decade now, since the age of 16, I've just been really into these things. And I was kind of in like, what do you call it? Like the spiritual closet, you know? I wasn't so open about these things only recently, maybe in the past year or so. So for me, the podcast is just a way to share this like stuff that just wants to come out of me so bad that I don't, I don't feel comfortable maybe in a conversation always telling people. So I'll just put it in a microphone privately when I'm in my own room. But eventually I do want it to branch out. I do want to start doing like live coaching sessions, bringing on some people who are interested in that and just coaching them live, or bringing on like amazing guests and just asking them questions, talking to them. There's so many avenues I think we can go with podcasting, but right now it's just sort of a place for me to share all the stuff that I only really share with my clients. That, and as beautiful as that is, I just want to get it out more because it's literally like I feel like it's like oozing out of me, and I'm at that point where I just don't want to hold it in anymore, you know. So where it is with that. Yeah.
And once again, we're all excited. You know, everyone's excited, wants to hear what you're going to do as far as your perspective, and just overall concepts. I think it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing once it comes out.
Thank you.
Fox it
Thank you.
is.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm super excited. I'm working on my next episode right now, and I'm like, it's like your own little project, and it means a lot for me specifically because remember how I said like I wasn't always this, I guess, like this way, because for many years it was like I was in my own way. I was definitely not with the strength or with the empowerment that I have today. And so for me it's like I want people to know that it's not like I wasn't always this way. It's not like you see me and you go, okay, like that's her, but that's not me. I can't see myself. It's like, no, it's there's a process, there's a development, there's things that you do, that you work on yourself, you clear the stuff that needs to be cleared so that you get to the person you are deep down, or that you can be deep down, right? And so I think that's another reason why I want to be, have my own like place to just express, because it's like there's so many things I want to tell people that, listen, like you're not alone in all of these things that might be dragging you down. In fact, you could do so much to get rid of that, and you can be just like the people that you idolize, the people that, whether it's like The Rock or whoever you look up to. For me it was always Oprah. I just respect her so much. But
Hmm.
it's like it's all coaching. Like even Oprah has 3 different coaches. Like it's just, and I'm not saying this to tell people to come to coaching. I'm not at all. It's just if you want results but don't see yourself as possible for you, understand people don't do this stuff on their own. Like it's okay to get help and to realize there is always development, like always,
100%.
so yeah.
Even like, I think a lot of people don't understand. Like for example, I'll just like share a short story. Like when we first started our podcast 3 years ago, if I go back to April 1st, 2018, that specific day, I remember it like it was yesterday. Um, Everything seemed like everything was possible until we got hit with obstacle after obstacle. Because we thought at the time that like, yo, we have everything under control. But what we didn't know is like obviously what things that, and obviously we learned them all now. And like now we're way further ahead because obviously for whatever decision that we've made. However, what I want to, the point I want to get to is it doesn't. We said like as Aseel said, like as smart as you are, as intelligent as you are, as amazing you are, you still need someone who might have to guide you because again, sometimes there's something you're not gonna know. There's no experience that you don't have, and someone will let you know. It's like, hey, do this, do that, ensure that you get this done in a certain way. Because for example, like when one of my what other girl was messaging me that like maybe like 2 weeks ago, she was like, oh, I have a question about a podcast. It doesn't make her less of a woman. She just wants like, she just wanted advice of how to like start it, what to do, and that's for her to say. I don't want to waste, I guess, time. Time is money. So it's like, let me ask for advice, and then like I obviously gave her, and that definitely should help her out for the point of making the mistakes that I made, so she hopefully won't make.
Hmm. Absolutely. There's a beautiful quote that I love, and it's success leaves clues. So if you really want to be successful, it's like it always leaves clues. Study from the people you want to be like. It's again, it's just a formula, like literally. And so it's if that's what you want, like be around those people, even if it's online, like bringing it to the COVID thing and lockdowns and restrictions. Like your whole journey can take place online in the beginning if that's what it needs to be. That's how it was for me, for example. I would get in these online groups with like, I don't know if you guys know about Mind Valley. There's amazing self-development company, and I was
Mm-hmm.
always just watching their master classes, doing this, doing that. And at first it was free because I honestly I was a student, I couldn't like afford to pay all these prices and this stuff. But I would just attend the free stuff, and I was hungry for it. And you surround yourself with those vibes like day in day out. Success leaves clues. You learn from them, and it becomes like you're natural to you as you go with it. So absolutely, there's nothing wrong with asking questions, with reaching out to people. If somebody judges you for that, well, that's not even a person you want to be learning from anyway, because they're clearly like not in a place to
Facts.
to be like that level that you're trying to get to anyway. So it's fine. Like reach out, ask. This is how you learn. Like if you want to do it all on your own, that's fine. It's going to take you maybe 20 years. If you want to really do it, learn from people, get some skills from them, do it in 5 years, right? Like success leaves clues.
That is actually, I'm just trying to take that in, but it kind of does spark up an idea because the other day I was talking to one of my friends and she was like, she asked a question on her story and she was like, not like I was talking to her, but she asked a question. Then I replied to her, and the story was, what podcast do you listen to? I actually don't listen to a lot of podcasts, like unless for example certain clips. I will actually go out of my way. Like I listen to like Joe Rogan clips. I don't actually take my time. I listen to my own podcast, ladies and gentlemen, and there's a reason. And I'll explain the reason why. And I remember I told her, she's like, how can you say that you have your own podcast? I told her I like listening to talk. I like having conversations with people as opposed to podcasts because sometimes podcasts, I like listening to certain clips and I don't have the attention span to listen to a lot long. Unless like it's my friend and I want to help them out, by all means I'll do that for them. But for me, I like having conversations one on one and seeing what I'm able to do. And I think as an individual, whatever, not just me, but whatever your way of healing is, whatever your way of success, like what you want trying to achieve, find a mentor. Like for example, I'm 26 and I don't care. Like sometimes Mohammed has given me so much good advice. My friend, his name is Saad. Like he has a photography company. He was at my house yesterday. He was like, hey, I think you should focus less on this and focus more on this. That's someone you around with because they actually care for your progression, your success. And I believe it's important because not knowledge, as you said, like success is clues. I think not anybody's gonna give you information for no reason. Like information is valuable, and if you get it, you should keep it.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, not just in information, like, bringing this back to energy, it's in the vibration really of being around those people. So it's not something that you know, because you can learn all the techniques in the world, but if your vibe isn't there, if your mindset is blocking you, you're gonna be like, that's not gonna work for me. Or I tried that, you know, whatever. I gave up soon because, you know, I just didn't have the stamina. Yeah, because it's your mindset, it's the vibe. So it's like being around people that that inspire you, that uplift you. It's you start feeding off of that energy, and then next thing you know, it's like it doesn't even matter about the technique. It's just you start to have that energy, and that's when it's gonna carry you. And then yeah, the techniques help after there, and you put them into place, but it's like it really just starts with your own, and this is why spiritual healing and like coaching is so powerful, because it's about shifting your energy from the inside. You know, it's not just like, okay, like, you know, do this and do that and do that. It's like, because we can say that all day, but if, you know, if again, if it's blocked, it's blocked, you're not going to do it, right? So it's about you know, getting in touch with your core, with yourself, and leading from your heart and your gut, right? It's never going to take
Hmm.
you anywhere wrong. And any successful person you talk to, like, what they really say is just, I just followed you know, the strength of my heart. Like, I just followed what I knew I had to do, regardless of what anybody told me it's not going to work, or I'm crazy, or this or that. When you're so connected to your inner self, you just know it's going to work, and you know what to do. So
I
that's what
have
I
a
would
question.
recommend to people. Yeah.
I have a question for
Yeah.
both of you. You know, I think we have
Yeah.
like 15 minutes left before the podcast ends, and I guess I have this question just popped up in my mind
Okay.
based on what you just said, Asil. So basically, my question is, I'm not sure if you guys both were confident growing up, but if you weren't, when did you make that transition to saying, "Hey, like I'm getting tired of who I am right now. I want to change myself to the person that I want to." So when did that transition happen for you guys, and what thought process, what healing process did you guys actually take to like develop yourselves to the people you are today?
Yeah. Excellent question. Mo, did you want to take that first, or should I?
I guess I'll go first. Uh,
Yeah.
someone's known me since the age of 6. I've always been confident. I think I was overly confident uh, when I was younger, to the point where I kind of became egotistical in my ways. I couldn't see that my being overconfident was actually myself being in a wrong state of mind, and with that, those decisions and actions was actually hurting the values and feelings of the people I love the most. So I think that sense of being overconfident in such a time, you just because you know the reputation and the ego, it all collides. And you just think you're just powerful, right? And nothing can bring you down. But the beautiful thing about life, you have blocks, like you said. So I suddenly had all these, I don't know, I guess you could say big blocks as the time I transitioned into high school. And I didn't know how to deal with it because the first time in my life where it crushed me as far as my confidence, who I was, and the perception of that, the value and character that I've built over the years. And with that, I didn't know how to heal. And obviously, because I was young, and it was a terrible feeling, and I didn't know what to do in such a matter. So I told myself I don't want to feel like this ever again. So I have two options: either I could continue to drown, or just change. So I decided to change as far as who I was, what I did, how I interact with people, how I made others feel in the moment, and that's power. If there's power that comes with that, right? So
Mm.
deciding to use that power to not give others who want to see me hurt the feelings of others made me gain more confidence in the right way as far as how humans should be, as far as interactions. I guess you could say once I got a little bit older, around like I guess 19 to 21, I then decided that the person I want to become, I actually have to put in the work. So there's a lot of self-help books, self-help lectures, and just understanding and principles and watching from other people. And through that, over those 2 to 3 years of really just tiring myself out, like I really spent a lot of time trying to work and reinvent myself, what I can do. So when the time comes, and as I get a little bit older, and I decide to take certain life goals or pathways, I'm okay because I've already figured out the steps I need to take. That's essential. Obviously, they will update as time goes on, but at least I put in the groundwork, and I think that was the best thing I ever did. So I totally advise anyone, especially if you're young, uh, put in the work as far as what you want to do, who you want to become, figure out what you are and who you are, and try to figure out different techniques and methods, practical methods that's gonna make you become successful, whether it's a small task, medium, or large. And through that, know that it will update as you take different decisions and pathways in life. But if you do definitely put in the work, life has become so easier no matter what happens, as far as the blocks that happens, or just I guess the open doors are able to walk through at any moment. It becomes more easier, becomes more clear, and through that, others will ask, and you're able to help them out. Uh, you're able to help them really kick down their blocks as opposed to them just being standing in front of it, not knowing where to go or who to actually ask for help. So that's one thing that definitely helped me.
Wow. I love that. And I love that you can, your journey went from the confidence to the overconfidence to the, okay, this is too much. I got to tone it down now. And then bringing it back to like a grounded place. That's really, really cool. I think I went through that at some points, but for me, it was a lack of confidence. It was a lot of shyness growing up, like extreme shyness. I couldn't, I was like, bringing it to the chakras, like my throat was so blocked, it was like hard to speak sometimes, especially in groups. And the crazy thing is like I had this big dream ever since I was a kid of like, I want to be the speaker. And so you can imagine the horror of I want to be this huge speaker, but I can't even speak. Like I get so shy, I get like in that moment to speak. So for me, a lot of the journey was about how to develop that self confidence and how to get in touch with like, just release all the blocks. I think that's what it always comes down to is like, and for me, I'm speaking about the self confidence. For others, it can be other blocks, but it's like, it was just releasing the shit that's in the way so that you can be like, get back in touch with that core, that confidence, that belief in yourself, that fuck it, I can do anything, and just really going after it. And that's why I say it's a process because, at least for me, it took time. It really did, but it's like the journey is so beautiful too because you see the improvements, you see yourself going, and it's just great. Some of the tools I use, again, I did a lot of like coaching in Mind Valley, master classes, stuff like that. A lot of self-development books in the beginning. It's like my favorite. Um, and now I'm doing shadow work. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with shadow work, but it's like it's kind of a spiritual concept, not necessarily, but it's like about getting in touch with the darkest sides of yourself that we usually try to deny because we just want to be the best, but actually getting in touch with the darkest parts of yourself are how you integrate it with the best, and then you can just like totally be your most comfortable, like authentic self. And so that to me is beautiful. That's kind of what I've been diving into. It's always a journey, it's always like, okay, what's next, and that's the thing, it's just about starting. In the beginning it might be like that's a long mountain, but honestly, not mountain, like that's like a long, road to go. But it's like, what other way would you want to have your life? Do you want to just stay the same? Do you want to, that's going to be fine. Eventually you're going to, I think, get bored. You're going to want something else. So the journey is the fun, right? It is just about the little things here and there that you do that just lift you up and bring you closer to like your truth and your joy, right? This is all what comes down to purpose. And it's like, what is purpose? It's just you in your highest, most aligned form. That's you living your purpose. And so if that's the journey, right? And then once you live it, it's not like, okay, I'm living my purpose now for the rest of my life, it's done. It's like, yeah, there's going to be another thing. So there's always room for the next improvement, but it's beautiful. I have a question for you guys. I know we're kind of running low on time, but I just, just for fun, I just want to ask you, who is the most influential person in your life, and like, what is it about them that inspires you?
You want to go first, Osama?
Yeah, what was the question again? Who was the most influential person in my life,
Yeah,
and what inspired me about them?
yeah,
Tough question. Honestly, um, I'm gonna say Muhammad Ali. Uh, Not because of what he did in boxing, it's what he did outside of boxing. When that just there's that time period where he refused to go to war because he surrendered his title. I think that to me shows heroicship. It shows the fact that he's a man of his word. I think my parents always taught me that it's better to be a man of your word as opposed to um someone who, I don't know, just lies. And I think Muhammad Ali was that guy who I want to be. Like, forget what he did in boxing. I think outside of boxing, like him speaking, doing all that kind of amazing stuff to help people, kind of touched my heart. And I think I want. If I don't want to be just like him, but if I can like replicate that, I would love to.
nice, nice. Yeah, he's an amazing character for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess as far as myself, I would have to go with yeah, Malcolm X. I gave a beautiful answer. We did a old ways episode way back then, probably 2 years ago, and the answer I gave about him was probably the best answer to give. So every time since, it's very hard to like live up to that answer. But essentially, in a short span, like I was introduced to him at a very young age, at the age of 6, and watching him, I've never seen anything as such as a person who stood up for something like anyone else, but the way he did it and how clear he was with his message and how defined he was with his goals and how long it took as far as his journey, but it's such a short span. Like he only lived 39 years, but the amount of experiences that he had, you would thought it was as if he lived the lives of 5 different people, and to have that transformation, that journey, and to see his healing and to find out how he was able to guide himself and to find the practical methods that he learned because he had to change it over time was incredible. So I think it kind of relates to everything we talked about in this episode. So for those who don't know his story, I would highly advise to watch his movie by Spike Lee or to read his autobiography by Alex Haley, because everything you talked about as far as the energy and what's needed as far as the journaling and the transformation, the chakra, like, and just the vibration, the frequencies, like he definitely
Hmm.
illustrates it on such a high degree and a high level for such a short span as far as his timeline, living only 39 years. So I think that's a perfect example for someone who wants to look into someone who's trying to find out the pinpoints as to what you can do to make yourself better.
Wow, absolutely. I'm like so much respect for Malcolm X because he had like the toughest of childhoods, and he's done some crazy things that were just a result of growing up in that childhood. But the strength in him, the way he was able to change himself and just go for truth and stand up for truth, like he was such a brave man, and eventually got assassinated. He knew, like he knew that was probably going to be his destiny, but he went for it, and just the strength in him, absolutely. What an amazing person to bring up. Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah, like you said, everything that pointed out to who he was, it shows. And obviously, we don't wrap it up too early, but kind of have no choice because it's just like external matters. We're both busy, especially myself right now. So
Oh,
we just
congratulations, Mo. I heard the news.
oh,
You
thank you,
got
thank you so
married.
much, thank you so much. I
That's
really appreciate
awesome.
it. Uh,
Enjoy the life. Yeah.
yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. It's a beautiful lifestyle. Obviously, that's things that comes with it. So, like you said, there's blocks that comes with such a decision, and it's all about learning. And right now, I'm in the learning phase. So,
Mm,
what makes it so much easier is just hearing advice from others who've been there 20 plus years and using that to obviously guide myself and plus the other person. So, whenever blocks arises for us, it's easy to walk through. And once
wonderful.
again, we would like to thank you for coming on today's episode. Super thankful. This is a beautiful episode. We're actually happy that it's actually able to work because when you first came on, we didn't know what we were doing as far as the audio, the editing, and everything. So a lot of the if you guys actually listen to the original episode with her, episode 5, it was really bad as far as the audio, the hearing, the frequencies, but still, it was people loved it. So it's still a top 5 episode. So I'm pretty sure
Wow.
whoever loved that episode is gonna love this. The fact that everything worked out so well, and you're able to provide your beautiful answers, insight, and just sense of message that's gonna help all of us. So once again, thank you so much for coming out. Feel free to let everyone know where they can reach you. Feel free to let everyone know where they can find you as far as your podcast and what's your plan going forward.
Amazing. Thank you too so much for bringing me on again and like giving me this opportunity. It's always amazing to talk to you guys and just exchange ideas.
Likewise.
For people who want to find me, once again, you can find me on my Instagram or the Heal with Aseel page. I also have my email there on in the YouTube channel in the description if you want to reach out for any kind of questions or energy healing sessions or coaching. If you want to work on like your confidence, your ability to go after your goal, or like getting clear on your goals before you could even go after them. Whatever stage you're at, right? You want to find your purpose. You can always reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help. And yeah, just such an amazing opportunity. And I enjoyed this so much, you guys.
We
Thank
did
you.
as well. Thank you, Asil.
Awesome. Take
Uh,
care.